I'm Katie Rice-Jones, and tonight on Inside City Limits, we're here at a studio where I've recently got my portrait taken. Jennifer Loomis Photography specializes in artistic and ethereal maternity photography of women in their third trimester. On tonight's show, we're going to get a chance to meet Jennifer, learn about her artistry, and find out why she thinks it's important to capture the beauty of pregnant women on film. Plus, we're going to get a chance to look at one or two of the photos from my photo session. So that should be kind of fun, at least for me, right? So if you're ready to meet this fabulous woman, let's go into her studio and see if Jennifer's around. Little smile. Think happy thoughts. Little more smile. Okay, that's it. We're done. Beautiful. Jennifer, in your words, tell us what you do. I'm a maternity photographer. I specialize in taking photographs of pregnant women and their families. And I like to think of it as something a little bit more than portrait photography, a little bit closer to fine art, because I'm giving them something that they print and they mat and they frame and they hang on their walls. And I sign every print, and each print is different. I try to find something special about each mom, or some action or some behavior or some way they stand, or some sort of telling detail about the couple to create something unique and special for them, to kind of capture a feeling around their pregnancy. Fantastic. I've obviously gone through the experience, and it is the Jennifer Loomis experience. I mean, it was fantastic. How long have you been doing this kind of thing? I've been photographing pregnant women, gosh, since 1992. I got started photographing nudes of women, and then I started getting more and more friends and friends of friends saying, hey, will you photograph me pregnant? And I thought, wow, this is a pretty interesting time in women's lives. There's a certain vulnerability there. There's a certain questioning about what's going on with their bodies, but I think the shape of a pregnant woman is just beautiful. And it's not something that's seen historically in art history, which I've taken a lot of art history classes and looked a lot at the masters in terms of looking at lighting and things like that. And you don't see pregnant women. I mean, there is the rumor about the Mona Lisa. But so that's kind of how I got started, and then it just sort of mushroomed from there. Tell me about who referred you when you first started. Yeah, I was lucky. One of my very first referrals came from Annie Leiboviz's studio in New York for a client who was living in Kentucky, of all places. So that's how I got started doing it as a business, I would say. Prior to that, it was friends of friends, and that's how the referrals came in. But then all of a sudden, with Annie Leiboviz's studio backing my work and believing in what I did, that became a nice special stamp of approval, I guess. Fantastic, absolutely, absolutely. Okay, so for someone who hasn't had this wonderful experience with you, what is a session like? Sure, it takes about 3 hours tops. I like to start all my sessions with me and the mom sitting down and looking at photographs. That process takes 20 minutes, and that's a really important time for me to get to know the mom and probably the husband, and if there's any, or partner, and if there's any additional children too. We're looking at pictures. I'm talking to them, you know, what do you like about my work? What do you not like about my work? How comfortable are you with, you know, exposing different parts of your body? Because if they're going to hang this on their wall, I want to make sure that I photograph them in a way that they're going to feel the most comfortable. And that's also a really good time for me to learn more about them and talk about how they met their partner, how they moved to this area. And it's just fun for me, because then we kind of become friends in a way, because I've lived all over the place and we connect on a lot of levels. The other thing I like to talk to them about is, you know, how are they feeling about their bodies? If there's any areas that they're sensitive about, I don't want to have to
photograph that. And as I guess I've been doing this for 15 years, and I've photographed, I don't know, 1,700 moms. So I know the way to make them look good, to hide areas that they're not comfortable with. And I ask because oftentimes I look at them and I think, oh, you look gorgeous. And then somebody will say, you know, I don't really like my ankles or something like that. So after we look at the pictures and I get a clear idea of what they like background-wise, we do 2 backdrops. We have a white one and a black one. We'll look through different fabrics that we provide. We'll do a little bit of yoga. I do the yoga really to talk to them about posture. And also to introduce them to some of the cues that I'll give them throughout the shoot in an effort to turn them a certain way, have their face looking in a correct direction to catch the correct light on the clavicle area, that kind of thing. And then we start shooting. I usually start with the mom first, and then if the partner's there, we'll work them in.
And you were saying, too, that it's a big trend to have the dad and the mom taking pictures together, which I think is wonderful.
It's increasing, yeah. When I first started, it was usually the mom, and now it's very special that the dads are really making an effort to be at the session.
Fantastic. Let's talk really quickly about your liking for film versus digital.
Yeah, I've been photographing pregnant moms since '91 using only film. I use black and white film primarily. The main reason I do that is because of the fiber prints that we make that are custom printed in the darkroom. Fiber prints, or they're known as silver gelatin fiber prints, are incredibly archival, which means they're going to last for generations. The tonal range between black and white is unprecedented. And that's really important to me, to be giving my clients an heirloom print. Yeah, I think that's the bottom line.
Essentially it.
Yeah, I mean, it's a lot more expensive to be doing film, but to me it's not really about that. It's about the longevity of the print.
So Jennifer, what makes you different from other maternity photographers?
I think the biggest difference is that I am not trained as a portrait photographer. My background is in photojournalism. I studied photojournalism, lived all over the world in Africa and Japan, and was really trained on how to capture a moment and capture a feeling. And so when I come into the studio with my moms, I'm sort of looking at them in the same way I would as a photojournalist. Like, who is this person? How do they stand? You know, what are unique gestures and behaviors for them?
That's a wonderful way of getting to it. Yeah.
To tell a story of who they are in one photograph. So
absolutely. So now if someone wants to get a hold of you, where would they go?
JenniferLoomis.com, and they'll find an array of information about us and about my work, lots of photographs, and phone numbers, obviously.
Well, thanks so much.